and that's how I became Jackie Chan's disciple. His lifestyle, because he can't always just tell you. He talks enough already, so he expects you to just be around to learn from him.
Yeah, so today we are in Loni, and we have here Jerry Liau.
Hi, everybody.
Who is a disciple of Jackie Chan, is it true?
Yes.
So could you just tell us something about yourself for our YouTube channel?
Hey, everybody. My name is Jerry Liau. Born and raised out of New York, and I grew up doing Wing Chun Kung Fu primarily, and that stuff brought me into China, into the action cinema market. And that's how I became Jackie Chan's disciple.
So could you tell us a little more about the backstory, like you coming up to this show in 2000?
Yeah, so Jackie Chan was he created an action a reality show competition to search for the next generation of action actors, and so we were 250,000 worldwide. U.S. we had New York, we had California, San Francisco, and L.A. Canada, you had like Vancouver and Toronto. Europe, they had Paris. So many, and then, but of course, the majority of the contestants were from China, because the disciple in Chinese is called 龙的传人, which is they wanted to find the Chinese action actor. So even though coming from the States, my Chinese wasn't that good, but when I got in, I had to learn. And I went from 250,000 to 128 onto Beijing television. And then we got eliminated all the way to the top 16.
Wow.
So 128, because when you audition for this stuff, they wanted to see your martial arts capability, action, or any sort of talent. But as you got further in, when you got to the 128, it was kind of like the America's Got Talent, like 3 judges, and then you go up there and show a talent. And if you do Kung Fu, they will ask you, can you do some sort of drama for us? It was just on a stage. And then we kept getting eliminated. You started doing different types of shows. Maybe we put you in pairs, do a little act, maybe add a little bit of action inside the act. And then you keep doing it all the way until the top 16. When we got into the top 16, the reality show format changed. It turned into we shoot 1 episode per week. And it was every episode was a different action genre. So the first episode will be choreography. The second episode will be guns and explode pyrotechnics. The third episode will be wires. The fourth episode will be parkour. The fifth episode will be cars and horse riding. And you compete, because when you learn a genre, we have to do an action scene with that genre. And so if you can see that if every genre has an action scene or has a certain action category, then the people that were training us was the JC stunt team. And then you have people like, different guests and different judges, Stanley Tong, Cheng Poi Poi, different directors. And then by the end of it, the final, we went to the final 5. Every episode, they eliminate a person. By the finals, they choose the top 3. And Jackie chose me as the bronze medalist. Because you couldn't make me number 1 if I couldn't really speak Chinese. Probably I couldn't even read. I was illiterate. But getting into that door, took me through to a lot. I'm in one of his movies, but then the other movies, I was also doing a lot of his shows, like singing and dancing. I participated in the Chinese New Year's shows and stuff. I recorded a lot of songs with him. I traveled around with him a lot the first few years. And as a disciple, he also does a lot of charity. Mm-hmm. So when you're called a disciple, you're not the JC stunt team, you're a disciple. You follow him around everywhere, his lifestyle, because he can't always just tell you. He talks enough already. So he expects you to just be around to learn from him. And then doing charity was something that he taught me, is that it's kind of a must-do thing, to give back. Even when you have nothing to give, you just contribute by doing. And that helped me out. So we're also volunteers at the JC Charity Foundation. We also have experience working with the JC Stunt Team. We also have experience knowing how to do interviews, knowing how to get to the point, and learn how to learn faster. Because like if I'm here, okay, I gotta switch to English. You tell me to speak Chinese, I gotta switch to Chinese. We gotta be very quick, and he's very quick.
So was it a one-time thing, that show? Because I don't think it's not happening anymore.
No, it's not. But he did mention it on Conan O'Brien right before I went to Beijing. I remember that happening. He said, like, yeah, we're looking for not just the next Jack Chan, maybe the next Michelle Yao, something like that. He said this back in 2007, because it was right before the Olympics. But we did not shoot a second season.
Mm-hmm.
However, I could tell you, though, just some of the footage that I put on today, there was like some kind of reality show I was running around, or you saw like I was doing some fight scenes, but I was wearing that kind of like a student's outfit.
Yeah.
That show was also an action actor competition, and I won that one, and that was recently. Okay. Yeah, Vincent Zhao was one of the judges, and that's why if you saw we recreated we did a recreation of the Grandmaster movie when I played the Yip Man, and I didn't want to pick the cookie. That was a recreation. So every time you win a round, that was the final, by the way. I won the round. I won the final. I got to play Yip Man from the Grandmaster, because every episode they recreate them. The winner gets to recreate an action drama. I also got to recreate the Drunken Master.
Okay.
But I wasn't happy with it. That's why I never put it in the reel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you say this was the start for your career? It's opened up the doors for any other ventures of yours in movie business, like this show?
Yeah. It gave me quite a reputation in Beijing at the time, because it's easy to remember. It was easy to remember me back then, because it was just like, oh, that's the guy who doesn't really speak Chinese. Like, they found that cute, He was the guy that's just like, every time you're saying like, and the next round we're gonna do this. So what'd they say? Like, what does that mean? So like they always found it funny, or like when you say certain lines, it's kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Americans always mimic "I'll be back."
Yeah.
Because it just sounds so memorable. And now it's become an icon. So it was kind of like that. But then you can't do that for long. As you get older and you're working in the Chinese industry, you've got to start finding ways to improve it. And otherwise, if I get the contract, I can't even read that. It's going to be quite embarrassing. Not the contract, the script. I meant the script. The script is more important than the contract. Yeah.
Okay. So now you're here in the Czech Republic. It's just one of the two stops you have in Europe, right? Teaching Wing Chun and talking about your experience in the movie industry. So how do you like Czech Republic so far?
I'm loving it. I mean, I'm Czech Republic over here. This first stop was also kind of a later confirmed engagement, due to the fact that when I announced that I was coming to Europe, Karel, the owner here of WKS, said, well, do you think you could stop by here? Would you like to stop by here? And so I only had plans to just share Wing Chun and everything, but then he said, hey, why not after the class, maybe we can do a little Q&A interview, and maybe you can share some of your film work. Because Carol Jr. also, how I know them is because Carol Jr. also attended the International JC Stunt Camp. Where we pick 30 martial artists, action actors, stuntmen, together, and to do about like a 7-day camp where not just learning martial arts, but they also have the chance to make their own short films, split up into groups and make their own short films. And we have a theater room to broadcast it. They even learned some, I don't know if he showed you guys, some Chinese songs. Oh, because Jackie also has his own recording studio, so he made them learn how to sing one of his songs.
Oh, really?
One of his famous songs, and then you record it yourself. So at the end of the camp, they put on a little montage of their experience, but they're singing Jackie's song. It's their own voice.
Okay.
So it's like you not only just made your own films, you also made your own going away present.
So what was your role?
At the JC Stunt Camp?
At the camp, yeah.
So the first 2 years at the JC Stunt Camp, I was the Wing Chun coach.
Oh, I see.
Yes. So I also help out with the wire work, and also I do a lot of translations because my English and Chinese I can flip back and forth.
This is how we met, Carol, at the camp.
Now I know Carol. Yeah, you're Czech Republic international kung fu star.
What do you think about him?
He always gave me really great impressions since I first met him. Because when we start the JC Stunt Camp, the first day is instead of teaching them something, we want to see what you got. So, we do the warm-ups together and we want to say, okay, do some kicks, do some cartwheels, do some tumbling, then, okay, show us whatever you want. Each one at a time. Some do some tricking, some guys do some, dancing, some people do some, traditional, some people, everybody has something different to the table. So that's why I love teaching at that camp, because it's the students that bring something to me. I don't think like I'm doing anything. I think I'm just sharing what I always share. But every one of them, you see everybody's energy. We came here to learn, but they're actually bringing so much to the table. And like Carol, one, he's got the look, he's got his own style. And three, like he's also a great representation of Chinese Kung Fu, right? He's Shaolin. Also, another thing is I have a very good impression of him because when I was flying back to Beijing, from Shanghai, I always pick up the newspaper from China Daily and I looked at it, and Carol was in the paper. He got champion for at the Shaolin Temple.
Okay.
So I was like, hey, didn't we just teach this guy from JC Stunt Camp? And then
that was the year before, not this year. It was last year.
Yes, that was last year. But it was so cool because I taught that year. So that's why I was like, hey, that's the guy. So I was on the plane. I took a photo. Also, I had his WeChat. I had Carol's father's WeChat, so I sent it to him. I was like, by the way, I see you in the paper, It's just so happened, I'm not on the plane every day, but it just so happened when I go on the plane, they always say, do you want a newspaper? I always say, yeah, China Daily, I'm on the English
That's
one.
an awesome story.
Right? It is. It was really cool. And then I was telling everybody at the Sun Camp, like the staff too, I was like, hey, you remember one of the guys, he really does Shaolin, he just got he just got gold at the Shaolin Temple. Isn't that cool? Yeah. So it always made me remember him a little bit more than, the other 29.
Well, Jerry, thanks so much for this short interview. And we're so happy to have been part of this, even though just for half a day. But yeah, I hope to see you anytime in future again.
For sure, man. I hope we cross paths more.
Thank you.
Yeah. Peace.